Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is located out in the Great Sea of the Broken Isles, and I actually found this cave while looking for weird things underwater, which was the Pointless Top 10 I did a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was really cool because I didn't know there was a cave out here, and when you go into this underwater cave, you actually find a skeleton that has an ankle weight tying him down, so I don't know if somebody put that on him and put him down here. I would imagine they would. I don't think he would do this to himself. And so after finding this, I was like, dude, this is crazy, right? This is a weird thing underwater, but I had so many things on that list already, and then I knew we were going to be doing Pointless Top 10 caves pretty soon, and I was like, you know what? I would rather just put this on caves, because this is a pretty cool cave, right? And it's got a little bit of lore with that guy trapped down here, and he obviously got put here by somebody. Could be pirates, or there is a crashed ship outside, so maybe he was a prisoner on a ship, and then when it crashed, he like swam over here, but he was like, oh, I don't know, and then he died. I have no idea, but it's fun to always kind of piece together these little things into whatever story it could be and try to solve that mystery. And so that's why the underwater Broken Isles cave is number 10. 9. Number 9 is Mazthorol, located in Winterspring. And the reason I love Mazthorol is it has this giant cave cavernous opening where you can see it from a while away and you're walking by and you're like, dude, that is a giant cave, right? It's got the snow hanging down or the icicles, whatever it is. And according to this, it's actually a cavern. And I want to take this opportunity to say I'm going to do Pointless Top 10 caverns in a separate video. However, I think this does qualify as a cavern. So I'm just using it as an excuse to talk about caves versus caverns in this video. Plus, it seems like it's one of those things where all caves are caverns, but not all caverns are caves, or maybe the other way around. One of the two. It's kind of like the turtle tortoise thing where not all turtles are tortoises, but all tortoises are turtles. But aside from that, Mazthorol is really cool. I always remember coming here for, I believe it was the Onyxia attunement or something like that. And there was all the blue dragons here. And now it's under the control of Umbrance, the spirit speaker, who is this guy that has been collecting magical artifacts such as Dragon Essence and the Crystal of Zin Malor to increase his own power. But again, I think my favorite part about this cave is the entrance, and that's really the reason that I put it at number 9. 8. Number 8 is the Gull Rock Cave, and Gull Rock is a rocky coast found in southeastern Stormheim. And the reason it's called Gull Rock may shock and surprise you, but there are many gulls on rocks. Wow. And the cave is home to many adolescent storm drakes as well as their eggs. But one of my favorite parts about this cave is there's just all this lightning going off in the cave, right? It's just like constant electricity zapping throughout it. And some of the dragons are just sleeping. They're like, it is what it is. The electricity is off the charts. The electric bill is out of this world. And there's also a bunch of bones scattered around, as well as some really cool mushrooms. Shout out to Pointless Top 10 mushrooms. And I actually think the outside of the cave looks pretty cool as well. Obviously, there are gulls sitting on top of the cave entrance and around the cave, but it's got some cool rock slabs going all different directions, and it blends in with the mountain. I just think it's really neat. But I think the lightning inside the cave is really what sells it for me. And so that's why the Gull Rock Cave is number 8. 7. Number 7 is the cave in Garm, and Garm is located in the southern foothills of Storm Peaks, and it is populated by the Garm Magnetar and the Snowblind Snowbolds. And by the way, I always thought Magnetar were really cool. They're like mammoth centaurs, which I thought was just a really neat, creative mob. I don't know if they exist outside of World of Warcraft, but I do like Magnetars. I think they're cool. But what's cool about this cave is it has this haze throughout it, as well as this red glow. And so when you first walk into the cave, you have this mist kind of surrounding everything, and there's these big red flowers and a bunch of bones and skulls everywhere and some decaying meat on the ground. And then as you get deeper into the cave, you have a bunch of weird kobold pottery as well as kobold candle shrines and stuff like that. And at one point in the cave, it looks like there's some cool Ulduar Titan style machinery that maybe they dug too deep and found in here. And I think there's a similar style cave in the Borean Tundra, but I always remember the Storm Peaks one the most. And so overall, it's really just a unique cave, and that's why I decided to put it at number 7. 6. Number 6 is the cave located at Warmaul Hill in Nagrand, and Warmaul Hill is a large mountaintop in northwestern Nagrand that's populated by a tribe of fierce ogres led by Chowar the Pillager. But the main reason I remember this cave is I remember going in here and feeling like it was a very interesting designed cave compared to some of the other caves in the game, especially once you get pretty deep into the cave and you get to a point where it's almost like a mall, like they have different tiers of levels of the cave where people are walking around. I always thought that was really cool. It's kind of this open-ended concept with different layers, and I found that to just be a really cool design for a cave. And the reason the cave is the way it is, according to Wowpedia, is the ogres of Nagrand were formerly ruled by the Gron. However, a powerful ogre lord named Chowar gathered a large group of ogres and rebelled against the Gron. They were successful and drove the Gron out of the hill, and he took leadership of the fractured ogre clans left behind by the Gron's overthrowing, and thus the Warmaul were born. And so it's a cool looking cave, it's got some cool lore behind it, and that's why it's number 6. 5. Number 5 is the Crystal Cave, and the Crystal Cave is located in the Ungoro Crater, and I think a lot of people think of this cave when they think of the Ungoro Crater, and it's really aesthetically pleasing to walk around in, right? Like, normally, if it didn't have any of the crystals, it'd be like, whatever, you know, it's an alright cave, but the crystals really make it this kind of fun, vibrant, almost relaxing type of place to walk through. And I also found out something about this cave on Reddit that I never knew about it, which was that every color of crystal emits a hum at a different pitch. And I don't think I've ever noticed that. I didn't even check it for this video. I was just recording this and then read that, so I was like, I may as well mention it, but I should probably go fact check it first. But listen, you're listening to a pointless top 10. You know there's no fact checking around here. Also, I don't know if this cave is a reference to something, because there are a lot of Nintendo references all over Ungoro Crater, so maybe this is some sort of Nintendo reference. If you know it, put in the comments section below, because I'm not sure, but it might be. But anyway, that's why the Ungoro Crystal Cave is number 5. 4. Number 4 is the cave in Azure Span where Tojam the Terrible is located, and Tojam the Terrible is a Yeti that is part of a quest with a Tuskar child named Rowie. And I really love the way this cave looks. It's like my favorite type of ice cave with all these big icicles, and there's just like ice melting down the walls, and it looks very updated compared to, say, the Winter Spring Cave that we looked at earlier. I think that Winter Spring Cave from earlier would probably look a bit more like this if it was brought up to modern WoW standards. And there's quite a few caves that look like this in the Azure Span, but I decided to pick this one because of Tojam the Terrible, and I forgot to put him in the Pointless Top 10 Yeti list that I made a year ago, and I wanted to include him in something because he is one of my favorite quest lines from Dragonflight, where you're like, oh man, Tojam the Terrible, we're gonna have to fight this guy, and Rowie's like, he's stealing all the Onyx, we need to go fight him. And so you go there, and Tojam's just this chill dude who's like, yo man, I'm just trying to chill here with all the Onyx, right? And then you're like, all right, so you convince him to pretend to get killed by Rowie, and Rowie's like, yay, I did it, and he runs out of the cave, and he's all happy. However, I don't know what Rowie's gonna think like a week later when he sees Tojam in his cave still if he goes back there. I didn't think about that part. But aside from that, the cave's really cool, and that's why it's number 4. 3. Number 3 are the Ancient Passage and the Secret Eyrie located in the Veiled Stair in Pandaria. And at the start of the Ancient Passage, there's a boat called the Spring Drifter, and if you get into the boat, it gives you a free boat ride through the tunnel. And the boat ride was great because it used to be really dangerous to go through here, but the boat ride would surpass all of the Sarok that are in this tunnel that would try to kill you. But you can also fly through here. The flight path actually goes through this tunnel, which is pretty fun. And when you take the boat, you get Brewmaster Boof, who just talks to you throughout the journey, and it's pretty funny. He'll just be like, yo, Kunlai's pretty great. There's no danger. There's spears that are getting thrown at us, but that's just all part of the show. It's all for show. But the actual Ancient Passage itself is also really cool. There's a bunch of rocks and plants all over. The water's obviously flowing through. The ceilings are really high up. There's this one part where the water is like dripping down from these plants on the ceiling. I think it's one of my favorite parts of the entire Ancient Passage. And then down below, there's just a bunch of eggs with Sarok running around. And then up above the Ancient Passage is this cool little area hidden away with the Secret Eyrie, which is a place where the people of the sky use to train hawks. And so you can see there's one dude with a hawk flying around him as he's balancing. Then there's a bunch of hawks flying around in the cave over here. And it's a pretty unique hidden away area that I think in Pandaria a lot of people didn't know about. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't know about it now, but it's much more common to know about it now because people discover everything. And the actual outside of the cave up here looks pretty unique to me as well. And so that's why the Ancient Passage and the Secret Eyrie are number 3. 2. Number 2 are the hidden caves located at Stormsong Valley, and there's a small island located near Stormsong Valley. Well, I guess it is part of Stormsong Valley, and it looks like it's just some island with a bunch of bushes and trees all over, nothing crazy, but you actually go into these bushes and there's a bunch of hidden cave entrances. So there's 3 that I could find, and each of them goes down into this cave system, and they all kind of lead out different ways. There's a bunch of Quillbore on this island as well, so I guess the Quillbore did it, or they overtook this place, but it was something that I never knew about, and I just thought it was so cool going into these secret caves and walking around, and there's all the roots and the water. And there's, I don't know, some treasures that I found. There's a bunch of flowers. It's just, it's really cool. And these are really the things that I love finding for Pointless Top 10. Not kind of the obvious stuff that everybody puts into other top 10 lists that everybody knows about, right? It's more of these weird hidden things that aren't, you know, over the top crazy, but they're pretty cool. And it's fun to find for just roleplay reasons, or just like you're finding some sort of secrets within the game. You know what I mean? And so that's why the hidden caves in Stormsong Valley are number 1. And number 1 are the caves located at the Rainfern Grotto in the Tannin Jungle and the Cove Scale Rise in Zuldazar. And I'm sure there's more caves like this, but these were the 2 that I found that were very similar, but with some slight differences. And both of these caves have the structure of this big rocky waterfall with a little bit of light beaming in from the outside, and I just love the way this looks. Like, having the sunbeams kind of shine in from the outside and fill up the cave just gives it this atmosphere that's just so almost like meditative in a way. Although it'd probably be kind of hard to meditate here with these weird flower pod creatures trying to kill you. But the other one in Zandalar doesn't have that. It just has a bunch of dinosaur bones all over, which I actually think looks pretty cool as well. Like, when you walk in, you walk under this big dinosaur rib cage, which is pretty sweet. I also really love in this cave how it feels like you're kind of squeezing through the rocks and the tree roots coming out to get to that beam of light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know. There's just something really aesthetically pleasing about this that it gives me good vibes. And out of all the cave structures in World of Warcraft, this is the one where I'd always go into these caves and be like, dude, this is awesome. I want to come back here over and over again. And that's the reason that I put it at number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want more Top 10s, you go watch Yetis, I mentioned that earlier in the video, or you go watch Weird Things Underwater from the other week, I mentioned that as well. You can also go watch any Pointless Top 10 I've made, but these are on the screen and clickable, and it's very easy. Also, consider supporting the channel over on patreon.com/crendor, or by becoming a channel member. Okay? Okay. See you.